Welcome to DTV. I'm joined with Paul Satterley, who's joined Melbourne's coaching staff. And Paul, congratulations on the role. Great to have you on board. Can you talk about your new position?
Yeah, thanks. It's been the first few weeks been a bit of a head spin, as you can imagine, coming into the footy club. My role is to support Lee Brown as development with the forwards, working specifically with the forward line. So basically my role involves the footy aspect and working with our players that have been allocated with the intention that they're more than likely going to be up our end of the ground throughout the course of the year, but also there's also the welfare side of things. So there's a bit of a split between the two. So it's a really exciting role, and yeah, really looking forward to get my teeth into it.
You've got a strong footy background. You coached Werribee last year or last season. Can you just take us back to your footy background of going back even further?
Yeah, going a bit further. Well, I sort of did a full circle with the Werribee thing because actually I spent 3 years on the Bulldogs list many years ago. Didn't play a senior game, unfortunately. I was now working again with Brian Royal, and he was the main rover back in those days. So opportunities were few and far between, unfortunately, but would have loved to have snuck a couple of games in. So I spent a few years there, and then basically ended up in the VFL system. Spent 6 years at Werribee as a player. Then just due to some injuries and probably the timing, I think it was my last year at Werribee was the first year of an alignment with the Western Bulldogs at that time. So just opportunities and where I was at with my footy, decided to go back to local football back then. So I went to Hoppers Crossing Football Club, played a couple of years and then eventually coached them. So I spent 3 years as senior coach with Hoppers Crossing, and then decided I wanted to get into the TAC Cup comp. So I actually went and worked at the Western Jets for a year, where I was an assistant to Mark Neild. So it was a few years ago, but loved the TAC Cup and what it brought, and just how keen all these young guys were. So thoroughly enjoyed that. So after 1 year with the Western Jets, there was an opportunity came up to apply for the Northern Knights role. So I was fortunate enough to get that gig, and went and coached the Northern Knights for 2 years. And then basically what happened was, because of work, a role had become available there. It was a great opportunity in business to go and step up. So unfortunately I had to step away from the Northern Knights role and get stuck into the work side of things. So I took on just a part-time role back at the Werribee Football Club, looking after their academy and their development players, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then Werribee decided they were going to make the senior coaching job full-time. And after a long discussion with my wife, I've got 4 young children, so decided that I'd have a crack at the Werribee job, and was fortunate enough to get that role and become full-time into the footy environment, and really enjoyed that, and probably expected to be there again this year, but things panned out really nicely for me with the opportunity coming with Mark Neild and the other coaches. So things have happened very quickly, and I'm sure the other coaches as well, the new guys coming in, we're all sort of thinking to ourselves, what a great opportunity that's presented itself to us.
Yeah. So you've certainly done the hard yards. Did you ever think you'd be in this position?
It's funny, I had this chat with someone the other day, and it was more along the lines of everything I do, I just give it 100% and just see where that takes you. And I guess I never had the ambition, I guess, to get to the AFL. I figured that if I do a good job at TSC Cup level, see where that takes me, and then the VFL role presented itself, and if I have a really good go at that, see what comes of that. And I guess it's panned out the way that here's an opportunity that's come, and it's only that at this point in time it's an opportunity, and now it's about what I make of it. And really keen to ensure that all my energy and effort and the faith that Mark Neild's put in me, I guess, is on show for him and the footy club.
You've come from Werribee, where you've probably had to do everything from coach to cut the oranges in many respects. A lot more specialised in the AFL. How are you finding that transition?
Yeah, it's a bit strange at times because, as you said, doing everything. I mean, times where you're pumping up footies before training, and you're meeting with sponsors throughout the day, and recruiting, having to do all that yourself. So you're so hands-on with absolutely everything within the footy club itself, and and again, your head can be spinning and what you're doing with that. But again, I really love that and getting into it as well. And I guess now coming into this role, and as things will pan out and the role unfolds, it's no doubt it's going to be just as hectic and full on. And at the moment, I'm really just playing a support role to Lee Brown and ensuring that we're starting to implement the style of play that we want, the structure within our forward line. Also working on core development side of things. So I'll work on the kicking with the boys. So that's a really important role for what I'm doing at the footy club. And then the welfare, that'll certainly develop as we go along. But I'm sure the head will keep spinning as we keep moving on.
Yeah. And how are you finding the first few weeks? You've been here for a couple now. Just a quick snapshot of your couple of weeks here.
First off, I'm loving it. Coming to a footy club, I think just the way it was all done and the induction that we went through and getting the insight into the footy club and its history was excellent. So we all have all come in. And my immediate thoughts of the playing group is obviously it's quite young. And great opportunity I would have thought for any development coach and all these new coaches coming in to really work hard to develop them. And I think the first 3 weeks very structured. Mark Neild's the planning that's gone in place is right down to the very last minute. So given that that's the case, I think that it's made us the transition into this role much easier because it's so organised.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, Paul. It's great to have you on board, and look forward to seeing your job unfold throughout 2011 and beyond.
Absolutely, really looking forward to it, and looking forward to working hard with these boys. Thank you. Thanks for having me.